It was so funny because when I joined the Marine Corps, my mom said, "Why would you want to catch a bullet with your chest?"
Wow.
And then when I joined the Airborne, my dad said, "Why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane?" And I said, "Why are you guys asking these questions? Because you raised me.
Right,
You should know the answer to this."
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And we are so glad to have you here with us today. Today we have a special guest, Ramon from Texas.
Well, originally from Texas, but now from here in Ohio. And we are super excited to share with you his testimony in his words. He's going to share his journey in order to encourage you. So you are not going to want to miss today because you are going to get some nuggets that are going to help you become better.
So before we get started though, Ramon, how do you say your last name?
Lianez.
Lianez. How do you spell that?
Lianez.
You see, even he had to go look. Let me make sure I spell right. Lianez. That is a cool name. Do you happen to know what it means? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Actually, I like looking up last names, and I thought it was going to be something special. And I come to find out it's Johnson.
It means Johnson.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Wow.
kinda,
In a different language?
in a different language. Like the
Wow.
Lian is like almost like John.
Okay.
And the EZ, with most Hispanic last names, is son.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's
That's-
cool.
that is
No,
cool.
that's cool.
No, that's cool.
yeah, I wanted to be a lot more better than that.
You know what? We're going to help you elaborate on that. There you go.
There you go.
We'll
There
come
you
up with
go.
a better story.
Amen.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you know what? So welcome to TYRO TV. As we said, who we are, but we want to tell you a little bit. We have been doing this for a little while now, and we are so grateful and so honored and blessed to always have special guests like Ramon with us to share stories and journeys where people have gone and what they've overcome to really become successful in their life.
So, Ramon, before we get into your full story, why don't you give us just like a 30-second snapshot so that our viewers know what they're in for?
Wow.
Just a
I have never been asked that question to kind of like pre-warn somebody. I have no idea what you're in for. Just to be able to share with you how things have changed in my life from the beginning of when I was with my family growing up. Probably some history for my mother and father, which played a large part into it. And where I am right now. How God has changed me and is using me in the world. So, and to touch other people. So,
awesome.
Wonderful.
that cuts
oh,
it.
yeah. That's good stuff. That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
you left out all the great details. So you're going to have to stay tuned if you want to hear the details on what happened in his childhood and maybe the exciting, maybe the frightening that happened in the middle before he found his purpose and found his footing and knew what it was he was called to do.
But in the midst of getting there, we got to all go through something. You got to go through something in order to get something. And that's what we're excited about sharing with you today with Ramon's story. And listen, when we come back, we're going to dive deep into hearing the journey of Ramon. And I want to say Johnson now. I can't even.
Lioness.
Lioness. All right. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about Mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV, and we have a special guest with us today, and we are thrilled and excited to be able to share Ramon with you guys.
So Ramon has so graciously agreed to come and be here and to share his story in order to help inspire you to find your passion and your purpose. So we're super thrilled. And actually, I know very little about your story. So I'm actually really excited to hear about the journey that you've been on and how you got to where you are today.
First question. All right. Now, I know I said a little bit ago that you were from Texas, but I was wrong. All right. So let's qualify that. Where are you from?
Okay, I am from Norfolk, Virginia. It was my father that was born in Paris, Texas. His family were migrant workers, and they settled in Van Wert, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, so not
Really?
far from here.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's not far at all. And so tell us a little bit about your childhood, growing up, the experiences you had, and maybe what that led to.
I was born in the Philippines. My dad, like I said, was in he was in Paulding, Ohio, Van Wert, Ohio, went into the military, joined the Navy, went over to the Philippines, met my mother. So we stayed there till I was 2 years old. She grew up in they called it the province. So they were like rice farmers.
Okay.
So she went to Manila, which would be equivalent to, I would say, our New York.
Oh, okay.
She met my father, who grew up, had a background of, like I said, migrant workers, and then later on his dad worked in a factory. So they both had a pretty stormy past.
Yeah.
On my mother's side, my grandfather was like the town drunk, and he was very violent. And my grandfather on my father's side he was just a hardworking man. You know, he didn't show a lot of emotion, and I think there was a bitterness with my father. So they carried that into their marriage and then into raising us. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, military town. And one of the things that they have in the culture of the Philippines is a thing called haya. And it means saving face.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
You don't want to bring shame to the family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what ended up happening was, as we were growing up, there was 5 of us. As we were growing up, my inside the house behind the doors, it was pretty violent.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, pretty brutal. We kind of joke about this now, but later on I found out that out of the 7 of us, 5 of us had bipolar disorder.
Wow.
Yeah, and the 2 that didn't, we thought were crazy.
Wow.
But they were the normal ones.
Right.
so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you guys?
Why are you not like us?
Yeah, I know, what's wrong? You know, but what ended up happening was, so we were taught to hide our feelings, hide our anger, hide our emotions when we went out into the community.
So you were actually more Latino,
Yes.
because that's actually the Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
That
where-
machismo.
that, we don't let nobody see that we're hurting or anything.
Right.
Well,
And-
I mean, both cultures.
Yeah.
So you've got the Filipino, the
Right.
Haya, and then you've got the machismo, and so it's like this double weight of responsibility
Right.
to face up,
And
head
you're-
up, and look like everything's okay.
and
Right.
you're putting the pressure on a pipe.
Right.
What happens?
So as we started growing up in the house, like I said, there was a lot of anger. With bipolar disorder, you have your highs and lows, and you don't know where mom and dad are going to be. So there was a time when I was younger that my father left for a few years, and I was the oldest boy. And so it fell on me to take care of my siblings. In some ways,
The man of the house.
be the one that my mom would wake up at 2:00 in the morning and need someone to talk to.
Oh, wow.
So I had to grow up really fast. We didn't live in a very good neighborhood, So I joined a gang to keep the drugs and all that other stuff away from my brothers and sister, and to make sure that they would be able to do well, you know, and get their degrees and go to college. I ended up working like 2 jobs, but having that mask on,
Right.
we were, when I was in church, I said, you know what, I always sought leadership. I wanted to, I just felt like, you know, someone needs someone to step up and fill certain gaps. It wasn't about pride or anything, or even thinking I had the ability. Maybe it was because I didn't have a leader at home. So I ended up becoming like the president of the youth group. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm being so many different people.
I was gonna say, are you still in the gangs at this point?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
all right.
So
So
you
you're
actually
playing
not
all
even-
these different roles.
You're wearing all these different hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So have to take a short break. It seems like a good place to pause. But you're going to want to stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off and hear more about Ramon's story. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm Ron Tijerina,
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
and together we have been working with tens of thousands of couples for the last 2 decades.
And we have been helping couples understand that nobody's right and nobody's wrong. They're just each seeing it from their own perspective and unable to bridge together.
So when's the last time you were in a discussion with your significant other or your spouse and you had a disagreement over something so small that turned into something so big?
So many of the couples we work with have this experience where they argue about something because they only see it from their own perspective.
So I'm looking at it from my vantage point, and guess what? Frankly, I'm only want to see it my way, because it's my way or the what? The highway.
Over time, what happens is these issues start to pile up and they create more and more distance between couples. And so now we're arguing about every small thing because we have to defend our perspective.
As we began arguing, it really was apparent whose side I was on. I wasn't on her side and she wasn't on my side. In fact, we were on opposite teams.
We became enemies, and what was more important for us was to be right than for us to actually understand each other. When couples do this, they continue to erode their relationship. What you need to do is get the issues out from between you, move them out in front of you, and remember that you're a team able to navigate through anything together by seeing all sides of the issue.
Now remember, there is nothing more important than us.
In this dynamic program that's internationally recognized, you're going to learn how to resolve conflict, how to get on the same page and listen for understanding. Couple communication, which was written by Dr. Sherrod Miller and Dr. Phyllis Miller, will actually help you be on the same team and recognize the power of resolving conflict together.
One of the greatest tools that you're going to embrace is really coming to the understanding that what you've been doing is natural, but this is learned behavior, and we're about ready to take you to a next level on how to enhance your relationship.
Now, if you're sick and tired of having all of these petty issues come between you, if you are exhausted from every time that you have interaction with your spouse, it turns into drama, then this is where you want to be. You want to sign up for couple communication. You want to take this program together, and I guarantee you that you are going to love it.
Stop telling yourself that tomorrow you're going to do better. Stop saying to yourself, tomorrow I'll find that program. Today's your opportunity to do something not only for yourself, but for all those around you.
In couple communication, you're going to learn a brand new process. This process is going to help you avoid ever fighting over petty stuff again. It's going to take you to a new level in your relationship as you learn how to listen for understanding, to clearly articulate and share from your own experience. You're going to get on the mats. You're going to have notepads. You're going to learn skills that you're going to be like, wow, if only I had known this at the beginning.
It's not too late. We are all on this journey. We are all on this continuous improvement plan. But guess what? You have to take the first step, and let today be that first step for you and your significant other.
If you're ready to like each other again and be on the same team, this is the program for you. Sign up today.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. Today we have a special guest with us, and we are so honored to have Ramon
Lianez.
with us today. And we've been hearing about his journey as a child growing up and what it means to have 2 different cultures come together, and so far they've been clashing.
All right.
Yeah.
And the weight of responsibility to live up to cultural norms. I mean, we all have to face that and navigate through that. And so I'm really excited. So as you're talking about, we ended in the last segment, Ramon, and you were talking about the different roles. Like you were the protector and the man of the house at home.
And the provider.
And the provider, working 2 jobs, but you were also involved in gang, and you were also the youth leader. So I'm like super curious to see, like, how did this go for you?
It it went pretty well, actually. Some of the guys saw that as an opportunity to meet some girls.
Okay, yeah.
With good background, I guess, if you
Right.
want to put it that way. But yeah, you kind of learn how to juggle the hats or switch the mask really quick. I learned, unfortunately, how to compartmentalize, different things. And so eventually my father came back home, and I was really, really angry. Him and I was the oldest boy, so I understood a little bit more about what was happening. I heard a lot of my mother's side. So
There's a lot of pain.
yeah, there was a lot of pain and there wasn't a lot of understanding. So when my father came back home, he pretty much identified to me more with my brothers. They were still younger. So there was a lot of anger, yelling and screaming back and forth between us, disrespect on my side. There was a threat that when I turned 18, to show that I would still under his thumb, we were going to have an altercation. So at 17, I joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sticking around for that.
So do you think because of where you were growing up at in the military around you, that's what prompted you to join the military?
Yeah, I saw it as a way of escape. I saw it as a way of, I can get this job. We didn't have factories,
Right.
in the area. So I can get this job. It would pull me away, and I would have opportunity of trying to figure out who I am on my own. I also signed up for college. So between the military and college, I was getting to know different people and different ways of life.
So let me just, so that's a pretty for the story you're telling us, and yet college was still an option for you.
Right, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I can see military being an option
Yeah.
for everybody.
Right.
But college, that's how did that become an option?
Well, it was drilled into our heads.
Okay.
And I didn't know how far it was really drilled into our heads. As a child, as our kid, you're going to go to college.
Right.
We didn't have that opportunity. It was kind of forced into our heads. And I saw another opportunity to leave.
Okay. Yeah.
Get away
escape.
from it and escape.
Yeah.
God bless me with some sort of, maybe not common sense, but intelligence. And so I could just show up, take a test, and at least get a good enough grades to make it in.
Wow,
All right.
That's awesome.
So I ended up going to school, but after a year and a half of racking up a bar tab, I just quit and just said I'm just going to be in the military.
Okay.
So
So you're in the Marines.
I'm in the Marines.
What was that experience like?
Wow. If anybody's thinking about going in the military, tell yourself not to have any type of expectations, because the military's not going to meet them. It's going to be a big surprise, and it was a huge surprise for me.
Wow.
But I guess because of what I had been through and understood the military environment of, you follow these rules, then you're going to be good. Everything's going to be good and okay. I became a sergeant, which normally takes about 4 to 5 years. It took me about 2.5.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. But when I was finishing up my time in the Marine Corps, I realized I wanted to get married. And I was always told that if the Marine Corps wanted you to have a wife or kids, they would issue. So I was like, I got to get out of here.
Oh, man.
So when I finished my time in the Corps, I transferred over to the Army.
Wow.
And went into the 82nd Airborne
Wow.
and joined
So that's the paratrooper. That's the guy jumping out of that.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, my dad
Wow.
would say, what? It was so funny because when I joined the Marine Corps, my mom said, why would you want to catch a bullet with your chest?
Wow.
And then when I joined the airborne, my dad said, "Why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane?" And I said, "Why are you guys asking these questions? Because you raised me.
Right.
You
Yeah.
should know the answer to this." But yeah, so I joined the 82nd and went into a scout sniper platoon,
Wow.
and then eventually got married. This is another strange story, but
So let me ask you: Did you go overseas? Did you serve?
Yeah.
Any active? I mean, I knew you were active duty in that time frame. Was there anything going on in the world
yeah.
that you had to go
Okay, so we're gonna pause right here,
All right.
and we're gonna take
I'm so
another
sorry.
short break.
I'm so sorry.
When we come back, we're gonna talk more about maybe some of your experiences being in the armed
And
forces.
what you learned to be a leader and how to really manage that.
Yep, and then into marriage. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to TYRO TV, and we hope you have been enjoying this show like we have.
Already, we have learned so much from Ramon. I'm still like really pondering and thinking about the weight of the responsibility of the cultures of our family. You know, and thinking back to the first segment when you shared about having to live up to that, you know, safe face, that stoic out there, to always appear like everything is fine, never let anybody know you're hurting. And I just, that's, if you don't get anything else out of this show, I know that you got that, but I know that there's a lot more.
You know, and what I was thinking of how you able to take everything you've learned as a child and manning up when you were still a child, but able to put that into your adult life where you had to make decisions. I want out. How do I find my way out? You went to school, figured that that wasn't your path, and you joined the military. And
So it's like, my goodness, you went from the Marines to the Army.
that's what I was going to go. You went from the Marines and you said, you know what? I haven't had enough. I need more of people telling me what to do.
But I want to pull a wife in.
So you went from Marines to Army, and you know you hear the football games, Army versus Navy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know I want to hear
How was the transition from Marines into Army? Like before you tell us about how you found a wife, I want to know about that culture kind of shock.
from two different branches of military,
So-
because there is a different culture and a different attitude.
So share some stories about going from one place of the armed forces into another. What was that culture like? How did it cause you to grow? What was different about you, and what did you learn?
I'm not sure if I said this earlier. My father's Mexican and Native American, and my mother's Filipino.
Wow.
So growing up in Norfolk, Virginia, it was a huge mixing bowl of cultures. But I didn't identify with the Mexicans, and I didn't identify with the Filipinos. If anything, I identified with a more white culture and the black culture, because that's kind of where we were at, living. My dad even called me an apple. I was red on the outside, white on the inside.
Oh my!
And I said, well, don't forget the seeds, because they're black.
Right.
Yeah. And so, we would joke about that. But I truly believe that helped me realize I have to make a decision. Either I can make this a handicap for the rest of my life, or find ways of becoming part of a group.
Wow.
And so when I joined the Marine Corps, I was like the few, the proud.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And we started out with like 75 people in our training platoon, and we graduate with 25 original people.
Wow.
And then when I went,
That's huge attrition.
yeah, it was. And then when I went to the 82nd Airborne and went out for the Scout Sniper Platoon, there was like 150 of us that went out for the group. 5 of us got picked, but 3 of us ended up remaining.
Wow.
But the group it made me realize how I wanted to be part of a family. I wanted to be part of a group that depended on one another.
Wow.
So, and to me, that now looking back on it, it mimics kind of what was happening in my own family growing up.
Yeah. That longing to be accepted.
Longing to
and
be
part of
accepted,
something.
and also being part of, what role are you going to play?
Right.
But I also hear the determination and perseverance and the resiliency that your childhood was able to instill and impart in you as growing up. And then when you were faced with the challenges, you're at the your success is right here, and you have to cross that line.
And
how far are you willing to go?
Looking at, so here are all these negative influences and things that are happening. And it's like, in spite of that, there was a resiliency that rose up inside of you that said, I can and I will.
And I must.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things we did do as a family, which I really enjoyed, was we did martial arts together. And my dad even participated in it, and it was really good. But part of that training made me realize that if I want to do something, I have to go through the pain, put in the time, put in the training, and to reach a particular goal.
Wow.
So that was one of the main things that I really brought out. That was really brought out from our family. That was given to each one of us.
So you were one of the 3 that were selected in the airborne.
Yeah. To go to this reconnaissance sniper team. We call it, sometimes they used to call it in Vietnam Recondo. Now they call it a scout sniper platoon. And did my training there on Fort Bragg and other places. When I was in the Marine Corps is when we had Just Cause, and we went over to Panama to take out Noriega.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then after that incident, I go over to the 82nd, and then a few months after I get into the 82nd, we end up going to Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And we were the first.
So you're 1991 now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were the first infantry unit to go over, and
Wow.
and also go over to the ground war.
Wow.
So
Man.
Well, we're gonna have to take another pause,
Man.
and actually, I mean, we're gonna run out. So, Ramon, we're gonna have you do another show because we need to hear the rest of your story. So, when we come back, we're gonna wrap it all up, and we're gonna ask Ramon to share with us just maybe 3 things that he really wants you to take away from his story thus far. So, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm your coach, Tremaine Hall. We're looking forward to getting you to the next level in where you want to be in fitness. Our whole method is to make you mentally tough and also physically strong. We're going to start with dynamic warm-up, lower core, upper body, and also full body blast. Get ready to take your fitness to the next level with TYRO Fit and Stenos.
Welcome back to TYRO TV, and I just really am so excited with what we've been able to experience thus far with Ramon, and I really hope that you have been enjoying this segment with us, really learning and gleaming of what your life has been and what you've overcome and what you've conquered. And now,
I am like deeply impressed that we're sitting here with one of the 3 that made it through to this search and sniper team, which is really I'm like, what? I didn't even know there was such a thing. So I'm really impressed. So in case you're saying, okay, stop talking, Ron and Cathy, we want to hear more. I do want to give you a little foreshadow of the future in that we have decided Ramon has to come back. And so our next show, make sure you check that out, and we'll remind you at the end because we're going to have Ramon continue his story because we know we're not going to get
so
it
this
all
is
in.
part 1.
Yes, part 1. So Ramon, we told everybody that when we came back, we were going to end this show with 3 lessons that you really wanted them to learn from your life. 3 things that you could give to them that they could practice in their own lives.
yes.
So what would they be?
The first one would be surround yourself with people that speak life into you, into your situation.
That's important.
It's very important.
Yep.
The people that you hang around is so very important. The next one is change is necessary, and it's hard sometimes, and it's uncomfortable, but everything is. I mean, even if you remain where you're at, you're going to have some hardship.
Yeah, so staying the same is not an option.
Yeah, staying the same is not an option. And then the last one is
I think you mentioned goals.
yes. Thank you so much. Goals. Have a few goals. when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, this is my daily goal. This is what I'm working towards. And make sure that it's a type of goal that you'll be proud of, and it will raise not only yourself up and your family, but the people around you.
Wow, those are really
You know, I love that we say remind yourself daily. What is your goal? You know, what's your purpose?
Right.
You know, make sure you wake up with a plan.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. This has been amazing. This has been great. You
Yeah,
know,
so good that you're going to watch the next video where we're going to hear more about Ramon's story. He's going to tell us some of his stories from being in the armed forces,
but
and
also
then his wife.
how he
Yeah.
got married.
Yeah.
He said the Marines don't issue. If you don't issue a wife, you're not getting one.
So thank you so much. We just want to take time to thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey.
So until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.